Hello and welcome to the Rankadvertiser podcast, where we inspire, enlighten, and empower every single listener today. Hello everyone and welcome to the Rankadvertiser podcast, where we inspire, enlighten, and empower every single listener today. Today I do have a special guest for us. It's Arvin. He's an NFT expert and he has always been on the forefront of the tech trend. From biohacking to internet marketing, Arvin knows where to invest his time. So when the NFT wave came along, it was a natural fit for him to jump in early on because of his early interest in the market. Arvin is one of the few established thought leaders with the NFT space. He has consulted with 200 plus NFT brands and has partnered with Reddit, Twitter, and Quora. His two largest NFT projects, Saint Vegas Casinos Club and Meta Legend, both sold out. The Saint project made 70 million in 20 hours, and the Mega project made an astonishing $12 million in 20 hours and even received celebrity attention. Arvin is excited to help lead the conversation around NFT and is high sought-after guest. He is soon to be featured in USA Today, Forbes, and Business Insider. Arvin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's so good to have you today. I'm very blessed to have you in here. Thank you for your time and welcome to the Rankadvertiser podcast.
So awesome to be here.
Without further ado, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on NFT for the people who are listening right now. They're like, what is this NFT thing?
Yeah, I mean, NFTs are the hot topic right now. Obviously, everyone's talking about them. And actually, funny enough, like I'm in Canada, I know you're in the US. US and Canada is far behind compared to all the other countries out there. Countries like China, United Arab Emirates, Australia. These are the forefronts of NFTs. And I think you see people from, even like teenagers, they're getting into NFTs, they're making millions of dollars. It's a very exciting topic. I'm just glad to be someone who gets to see a lot of brands that are, they're just getting into NFTs and then also selling out in a very short amount of time, making a lot of money, and also just bringing a lot of value to artists as well.
And how did you figure out that NFT would be such a big thing to ride this wave? What was some of the indicator that made you realize like this NFT thing is going to be big?
Okay, no one asked me this question before, but bunch of times in my life I've come to see opportunities that I wanted to jump on, but I, never actually jumped on it. So like one, for example, was years ago. I think it was actually, I think Bitcoin was, the origin of, the time that it came out was somewhere around 2009. But in 2016, I believe, I had a friend, really good friend of mine, Nick, and every time we would go to bars or restaurants and we're just chilling, we're having a good time, I could see like this guy just pulls out his phone and just like checking these numbers and like these like cool apps, and I had no idea what he was doing. But then fast forward, 3 years later, I think I call him one day and I'm like, hey, so at that point I moved out of LA. I used to live in LA. And then I call him one day and I'm like, hey man, like what's going on? How's work? And he's like, what work? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, he's just traveling right now. He's already retired. And this guy was, in his 20s, right? So it's just such an exciting thing, right? So at that point, I remember he kept telling me about it, but I just was like, okay, I'm going to focus on what I'm doing at that point, which was internet marketing. And it was just so cool, like to see, someone just went from doing a 9-to-5 job to just like traveling the world. And so that was, I think, my initial introduction to the crypto and NFT world. And then about a year and a half ago, my sister and I, we were, or maybe about 2 years ago, we actually were looking into just like news and then just learned about NFTs for the first time. And then there was like a cafe that opened up here in Vancouver that they would literally like at the end of your, like you would have your tea or coffee, whatever. At the end of that, they would turn, like you would draw something and then they would turn that into NFTs. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. We should get into this. So that was the origin of that. Now, I didn't know like how popular it's gonna get, but I could see there was some indicators. Like for example, I could see like we call them whales are getting into it, right?
Yeah,
so they're yeah. So. Exactly. So you could see, okay, so there are some cool people, they're getting into it early on. And I was like, okay, there's got to be something into this. Just like right now, I see, for example, on Sandbox. So if no one knows what Sandbox is, basically it's just like a virtual land. I see like Atari, all these big companies, they have places in there, right? It's just an indication that, okay, they know something. Like otherwise they wouldn't spend so much money in just buying lands in there, right? So yeah, that was my introduction to NFTs, like about 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago, that's amazing. And before that, were you because there's these things about crypto that's kind of amazing. We go from Bitcoin to Ethereum and all other cryptocurrency, Cardano, and then you have this DeFi ecosystem that just came along, and then now NFT. Were you kind of around each one of them and navigated toward NFT, or were you also in the side of like, oh, what is a wallet? How do I put this together? How do I get this NFT?
Honestly, it's kind of funny. So I like initially my sister was kind of like my portfolio manager. So I would have her basically research things and then I would execute. But I didn't even, like, I remember the time where I was just like, okay, people keep talking about a wallet. What on earth is a wallet? Like, what are you doing with that? Like, what's the MetaMask, right? Like, I think it's also really funny, like, and I guess the evolution of that. Like, I got, a few days ago, I was on a call with, some NFT brand and I was telling them about ETH. And they were like, what is ETH? And I was like, that's Ethereum. I think it's just, we have now our close circles of like people who are just talking about things, the huddle, the ETH, and like certain things that like only us know actually what it means at this point. It's just becoming very nerdy, but also like, it's really like, I guess it's a good point to make here too. It's really important to know what you're doing too. Like, I mean, it's, like, for example, about a few days ago, I this is actually on my handle. If anyone goes like Arvin K NFT on Twitter, I posted a video about this. I lost about 100K worth of NFTs just because I Googled this website. I was about to buy land. I'm not going to name which one, but then this fake website showed up higher than the actual website. I connected my wallet and just like poof, like the whole like 100K was gone. Now that was one of my wallets, so I'm okay. But like, it's just like also, as much as it's like so accessible, it's like so cool, but it's also like kind of scary in a way if you don't know what you're doing, right? And even if you do know what you're doing, it's still like, it happens, like things like that. You can quickly earn a lot of money. You can also quickly like lose it. You know what I mean? So.
Yes. And for someone who's listening to this and they're into business or they want to kind of understand how to enter the NFT market, what are some of the advice you give to them? Because you are an expert in this area and you've worked with brands. And what are some of the things you tell them in this podcast?
Yeah, for sure. So I think if someone wants to get into NFTs, probably best thing is go look up on Twitter brands that are giving away NFTs, and then so you can participate in their discussions or like in their challenges, whatever that is, to get like your first NFT. If you don't want to like invest and you don't know like what it's like, or maybe you just like so new to this, right? Or just find some like cheap NFT and just like get your first one in. And now the things you want to look for if you're gonna buy an NFT, and this is very relevant for someone who wants to sell an NFT too, because that just, you have to know what it takes for an investor to buy, to be able to know how to market yourself so people buy it from you. First thing is, okay, like, and by no means this is a priority, is, okay, do you like the art, right? So the NFT art, it has to be aesthetically pleasing, but like, it's not always the case. There's some out there on top of the chart, on OpenSea or Magic Eden. And by the way, for those people who don't know OpenSea and Magic Eden, these are platforms where NFTs are hosted on. So OpenSea would be for Ethereum related NFTs, and Magic Eden would be for Sol, like Solana. Now, so just go like browse, just see what kind of art you like, and then so this is what I would do if I were them. I would just YouTube how to get a Phantom wallet, how to get a MetaMask wallet, or how to use it, right? So you just open it up, get one, and then in fact, in my so the reason I lost 100K was because I didn't, and in the video that I have on my handle, again, Arvin K NFT on Twitter, I do tell like what to do so that doesn't happen to you. I didn't have a physical wallet. So I would say anyone who is getting into this, don't do what I did, which was thinking, first of all, you're above getting hacked. And then second of all, like, it's not that much money. Like, you're not like that big of an investor yet. You're not a whale yet. So there's no reason like you should get a physical wallet. And like, you could just keep all your basic monies and NFTs on a hot wallet online. So you definitely get a cold wallet, a physical device where you hold your crypto and NFTs, and then have one that's just like, it's a hot wallet, it's connected to the internet. You are buying NFTs or selling NFTs with it. So that's what I would do. Like, I'll look at the art, and then I would join their Discord. So Discord is just like Telegram or WhatsApp, but it's for like NFT people. And then I would look over the Twitter handle, and then see like, okay, what are they posting? What are they about? Who are they following? Who is following them? And then on their Discord, I would just see the engagement is good. Like, people are actually excited about their project. I would see, if they've got like a really good roadmap. So if you don't know what roadmaps are, basically it's just it's a series of actions that the NFT project is going to take after they have minted, meaning after people buy their NFTs. And then look at their roadmap, see if you like it, if there are any utilities that you're really excited about. Like, are they going to give you money every month as a holder of their NFT? Are they going to send you like merch? Are they going to be like exclusive parties? And are you going to like meet like really cool celebs, or like what's that, right? So what's with their roadmaps that you like? And then look over, just see, okay, what is their marketing like? Do they know what they're doing, or they just kind of like, throwing spaghetti like on the wall, right? So just see what happens. And then, because that would also indicate if this project is going to be successful. And if it's not going to be successful, then it's going to be a rug pull. They're going to leave, and then, you basically lose money. And so the other thing I would look for is like cultural reference. Like, does this project have any, like, is there any value to their art that is relevant to what's happening in like pop culture, basically, right? Nice. So is there anything about like, let's say, the values for like, I don't know, like what we care about right now? Like, is it like, I was just going to say global warming, but global warming is like exactly against, it's the opposite spectrum of like NFTs. But let's say, for example, like, I don't know, let's say a lot of, people who like right now they have challenges with like their health, right? Like, is there something to do with that? Like, do you have like NFT that has like, it does like bring any like, I guess, connection to that? What about like the role of males and females in the society? There are a bunch of projects up there in the OpenSea right now that they're just purely about that, right? So those kind of stuff is really important. Of course, there's other things to look for too. Just like, do you just like the people, the team that's doing this, so on and so forth. But those are like some major things to look for before investing on an NFT project.
Thank you for the extensive details around that. And do you also work with, let's say someone is a brand, because we've talked about in your intro that you also worked with brand. And for people who are listening here and who have companies and they're interested, so how does that work? How do you work with brand to make that happen?
For sure. Yeah. So I have a bunch of different offerings. Of course, I have a course where it's a soldoutnfts.io. Like people can go and just check out like the modules and everything. And then also like I helped them along the way, actually going from like knowing nothing about launching an NFT all the way to like getting sold out. Like I had like one person a few days ago, this guy sold out in 6 minutes. And so that's one of my offerings. Also, like sometimes for larger brands, I work with them like one-on-one. I'm not going to say who, but some famous DJ that I'm sure all your listeners would know about. His designer is doing an NFT. It's going to come out next month. I'm personally going to do their marketing and bring that NFT to the world. But other than that, like I think biggest thing that I help people with is really building their Twitter and Discord, building that community that's engaged to a specific number, and then really all the way through like until they sell out.
Okay.
On their yeah.
And for NFT buyers, because right now the market is a little bit going on crypto market, as you can see nowadays, like it's just like it went down a bit, and then it's everyone's hoping for the ball to go up. And some people on Instagram have been saying that now is a good time to get into NFT. So the question for investor now is like, what NFT should I buy? Should you go for the apps NFT, or how do you find a good NFT to buy? Like literally, if you were an investor today and you were, let's say you had like a 100K to invest on NFT, what would be kind of your criteria in this market to find a good NFT to go with?
Honestly, one strategy is just follow people who are doing well, right? So like for example, I just tell you guys, like there was one NFT brand called Alien Friend. I bought it for $500. I sold it for 10K about 2 weeks later. And so like if you find someone who knows like what they're doing and they just like continuously just like flip and they're doing really well, or even if they're holding on to things that are really valuable, I think if you just look at their stuff, you can see like I actually talked about Alien Friend twice on my handles. Again, it's Arvin K NFT. And I told people, I said like, go buy it because it's going to go up. And it did go up, and I sold it at like 10 times more. I guess some people did and some people didn't. But so I think that's one thing. Just looking at like, okay, what other people who are getting results, like what are they doing? That's one thing. The other thing is just like I said, like if you just look, even if you're an NFT brand and you want to give away NFTs to your community to just like build your community, build your Twitter, like this is a really good time to just buy a lot of NFTs. Like all NFTs are so cheap right now. Like just be bullish, go like buy everything. You know what I mean? And then because there's never going to be a time like this, I don't think, ever again. And I think, so I predict, and let's see if this becomes true, like for someone who listens to this later. I predict in 6 months' time, all these like large companies, they're going to roll out something to do with NFTs. And the reason I know that is just because I have connections to a lot of these like ad platforms, like higher up people, and I can see their ads that already they have, right? Mm-hmm. So they're already preparing for things like this. And then I can see like this big company, not to be named, like they have already ads on some platform. Again, don't want to make it like identify them, but like some platform ads for, and it's a really big company, but they're just basically telling people about NFTs. They're trying to like educate people because later on they're gonna bring out their NFTs, right? Or like company like Atari, they're just buying a lot of land on Sandbox, right? Yes. I think NFTs, like the art stuff, is really cool, but the other side of things is just like DeFi and just buying land. I love buying land. Like I bought a ton of land, although it got all drained like a few days ago, but like I'm gonna buy again. I bought a lot of land on Sandbox for, I think it was at 3 ETH when I bought it. And at the time, like I think last time I looked, it was like 3.5. So 0.5 ETH, increase in like a week. That's like, what bank can you do that with? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. Like
this bank like, gives you 0.01% for a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then also like, I mean, at the same time, I know we're we don't find like maybe banks like that favorably. But like also it's funny, like when that 100K like loss I had from my wallet, I called my sister and I was like, we talking shit about like banks, but banks, that doesn't happen to banks. So there's that too, of course. Like you got to be careful, but there's just so much opportunity. I think a lot of people are just going to be rich. A lot of people, just because it's so accessible now, right? So the money is just so accessible. A lot of people are going to just make that jump and increase their like income. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as an expert in this area, and you're seeing the market grow, my question for you is: 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where do you see the markets of an NFT? If you have a number, feel free to throw at it. And yes, I wanna see your vision around there. How do you see it 5 years from now?
Yeah, I guess to back up from that question for a sec, some people are thinking like, oh, NFT is gonna go away. NFT is not going anywhere. Because think about all these large companies that they've bought like millions of like NFTs and land already, right? They're not stupid. Like they're not just going in and buying for no reason. They're not just like risking. Like large companies to that scale, they don't risk on a larger scale. They take calculated risk. So and even if something happens to it, they have to do something before you do. So you're still going to be protected. So for that reason, first of all, NFT is not going anywhere. Now, okay, so where is it going? Like I think it's going to be part of like your everyday life, where like for example, I watched a shopping experience in the virtual land at Walmart the other day. And to be honest, as much as like I love this stuff and I'm helping brands grow, kind of freaking me out. Like people getting so like I guess so into this virtual thing versus like in-person real experiences that has them just, I think, in years time has them just like stay at home and go nowhere. You know what I mean? Like for dating, like Tinder is actually like rolling out their NFT experience. Like let's say for Walmart did that, and let's say I've seen actually a lot of weddings in the virtual land. People stay at their basement, put their what is it called? Forget the name of the device you put on your eyes to be able to do the virtual reality.
The Oculus.
Yeah. So and then they do the wedding like virtually, right? So I think 5 years down the line, like almost everything is gonna be somewhat related, connected to NFTs. At this point, there's no way back. And I think like the coronavirus also accelerated just us getting digital to a very larger scale. And so I think if anything, all these NFTs that you're buying right now, down the line, the value is just gonna go up because these NFTs later on gonna go into like museums for people to look at. The cryptos that you have, you're gonna be basically you're gonna be your own bank. Mm-hmm. So your money, the value of your money is gonna go up, and then all companies are bound to compete with each other, bound to have NFTs roll out too. So so I think the wealth distribution is going to change in the next 5 years, if not sooner. Honestly, I think a day in the NFT world is like 10 years. It's going so quickly, right? So
and for the people who are listening to us, we're sharing about NFT and who haven't heard about it yet, they haven't jumped on it yet, or who are very cynical about crypto. What would you tell them about this market and what they're missing out?
They can be cynical, but like NFT is just gonna crush it. Like they're gonna go up, and like people are gonna get rich, and you know what I mean. Like, and I mean, I wouldn't say like buy crypto to get rich or anything, but I definitely see like a lot of people have invested heavily on like majority of their portfolio into like crypto and NFT. Kind of makes sense and especially now, the other thing I think people are not thinking about is, so some people who are afraid about crypto, they should think about how NFT is just going to be so prevalent. And if NFT is prevalent, NFT holds crypto inside it. It's just like a Trojan horse that like has all these cryptos inside it, right? Yes. So if if NFTs are going to stay, then crypto is definitely not going anywhere, because inside all these NFTs, that's literally the value of the NFTs is inside it. It's tokens crypted, right? So you have those, like whatever it is, if it's Ethereum, if it's like Sol, those are the major ones right now. I mean, there's other ones like Polygon and so on and so forth, but does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. As we're running closer to our time here, I want to ask just a quick question and to kind of pick up your mind on it. How do you see the metaverse? Do you like it, or you like the metaverse?
Yeah, so I think I get really excited about the concept of digitalization. I mean, of course, I would be like, I'm biased in that sense, but at the same time, I love people. I love the old experiences. I actually think, like, I tell my buddies, I'm like, the movies, the songs, a lot of things in the like 50, 60 years ago were a lot better. I think we kind of like, everything is just a little bit watered down. So that scares me in a way, because I think metaverse is going to be like 10 times worse as far as just being able to produce content that's not like high quality. But other than that, I just love the aspect of the metaverse where you can now own land. And if you weren't able to, let's say, like have a physical land, now you can just like have that in your portfolio. I like I think I like the investing side of things in metaverse. The implications of that, for now, I'm just ignoring it. So I'm not really thinking about too much.
Okay. And my last question would be, as an investor, and if you were to pick a blue chip in terms of metaverse, because now there is a lot of article, a lot of firm going and investing or raising fund to invest in the metaverse. It's kind of the next big thing in the crypto space, because there will be a lot of NFT selling in the metaverse as well, and events. So there is Facebook throwing up its metaverse version, and there is a lot of other project that's on the metaverse, like Sandbox. So between those different metaverses, is there the one that you like better, or do you think of it like there'll be a lot of big winner in it? But if you were to pick 3 winners, who would they be in your perspective?
So like, if you go on OpenSea and if you go like just look for lands, there's plenty of projects. I actually I dug deep into just see who like owns a lot of land. There's this guy, he like about 3 years ago, he bought 50 lands in Sandbox. Back then, I think it was worth like, maybe each land was maybe like $500 or something. Now each one is at least 3 ETH, which is like, although ETH at the time people listening to it is maybe very different, but like, let's say if it was like 3K, that's like 9K, right? So $500 to 9K, and if you had 50 of them, in 2 years down, 2 years time, like, I mean, that's like an amazing investment. So that's to say, I like Sandbox. I see a lot of companies in there. It just makes me feel safe. Go grab like a land right next to some famous person or a company that's just legit. And you would know, like, they're going to have foot traffic in there. They're going to have people wanting to have experiences in their vicinity. So your land is going to go up. That's just simple, right? The other one is Decentraland. That one is also, so that's the OG of the lands in the virtual world. So obviously have land in there as well. And then one just recently came out. It's called Metaverse. I don't know much about Metaverse right now. I'm actually researching it myself right now, but it's good. Like, if you think about like some of them, if you're going to hold, like, find one that you really see like, okay, their team is good. And then they have like really good plans that is very elaborate, meaning like they've figured things out and they also have like a plan on actually executing things. I would go and just like mint it, like be like an early investor on those. What are you going to lose, right? So like, I think if you think about, like, I heard someone yesterday, like, talking in one of my Discord servers. It was like, this guy, he just like sold his car, like downgraded his car, and then now it's just invested in like NFTs. And I'm like, that's actually super smart. Like, car is like a liability, right? Versus the NFT is just going to go up. So yeah, so those would be my 3 choices. I think they're very safe choices. Again, not a financial advice by any means, but to me, feels that way at least.
That is perfect. And as we are getting toward closer to that end of our podcast, I also wanted to make sure to let our listener know to go to soldoutnft.io to check out Arvin website, and there is a lot of amazing content in there for those of you who are listening who want to get into the NFT game or who want to partner up with him, or if you're a brand and you're thinking about getting into the NFT and you don't know how to do it, this is the man. He's right here in front of us in the show. So go ahead and fund him at soldoutnft.io. And I would like to give you also an opportunity to share with the listener some of your last thoughts and how they can get in touch with you as well.
Yeah, perfect. I would say best place to find me is on Twitter. So at Arvin K NFT, so spelled as ARV as in Victor, IN-K. That's how my last name starts, and then NFT. So Arvin K NFT on actually all platforms, but on Twitter I'm most responsive. And then also the website is Sold Out NFTs, it has a S at the end, .io. If you guys wanted to check out my course as well, of course, just Sold Out NFTs, you can see all the information about it. But yeah, always DM me. I'm happy to chat always about NFTs and your brand, whether you want to do investing or you want to launch your own NFTs. I'll be and then also, like, I think for your listeners, by the way, I do have a video that I created that's just like basically showing people. It's a strategy. It's like a mini video. It shows a strategy, just a core strategy on how to market your NFT. So if anyone wanted to do that, just basically send me a DM on Twitter. Just let me know which show you came from. And I will happily just send that video your way. It's just a marketing video on how to launch your...
Perfect. Arvin, thank you so much. And for those of you who are in here, this is us saying goodbye and thank you for listening. And we look forward to seeing you all in the next time. And welcome. Thank you very much, Arvin. And I look forward to seeing you all soon.